Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 909. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
It's June now. Happy Pride for everyone celebrating. Happy Pride for those not celebrating, let's face it. And we're in the waiting game now for, Comic-Con announcement, hopefully, in the next week or two. That'd be nice. We're still waiting for a new Doctor Who, the collection Blu-ray announcement, because those usually happen around the same time that the ones come out here in North America, and we feel like, wow, we're finally up to date. Oh, we're not up to date anymore because the UK just announced one. We looked today, and this is tragic news, everyone, but the John Pertwee set, the season 9 set that came out in the UK, in March?
March.
It was originally coming out in late June here in North America. Now been bumped back to July 11th. Most
That's
upset.
almost Bastille Day.
It is almost Bastille.
You know what that means? Riots.
It's riot in this. If it's not there by July 14th, there's going to be hell to pay. Like even more so than if, Luke doesn't get the droids cleaned up by sundown. That sort of hell to pay,
Wow. That's some hell.
That's some hell to pay, so I'm pretty upset that. So Chris, you don't have the opportunity to have it shrink wrapped on your shelf for as long as you wanted to. Now that there's a 3-week delay for the season 9 set, sorry about that.
Well, I already have season 9 from the UK.
From the UK, that's right.
I'm undecided if I'm going to actually spend the money on the North American one.
How do you feel about? Because I have both UK versions and North American of season 2, and I took one look at that box and how incongruous it looks on that shelf. It says, nope, I'm buying the North American version, and that giant monstrosity that is the original UK release is somewhere else now. How do you feel about that? Can you live with yourself?
The thing is, I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Good.
I'm fine. I'm
Good.
fine with
Nice,
whatever
Chris.
on the shelf. There's a bunch of years and years ago when I moved a few times, I had a whole crap ton of Doctor Who DVDs that I just put the discs into the CD wallets and threw away the cases and all that.
Wow.
And the liners. So
Right.
I mean, I don't even have everything right now anyway. So I can't be picky now.
That's not a bad idea. I don't know why I never thought about that, because I have drawers full of old Doctor Who DVD. I believe, Warren, you have told me you would want at some point. The old DVD. Now it's all down to, okay, well.
No, I mean, if they show up, great. If they don't, no,
Right.
not going to kill me.
Especially for free.
Exactly.
They'd be free. I don't know why I haven't just got a wallet. You're right, Chris. I mean, I remember those days. I remember kids, and the days before your iPods and your stuff, there was Napster. And before Napster, there was CDs. And
every car had either they were scattered in the cases, all cracked in the back seats.
Yep.
Or it was in one of those binder thingies.
Massive
No,
binders. You get
don't
80.
forget the ones on the visor.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Hot to the touch and probably cracked.
That's right, because they would be baking in the sun all day long. That's so I don't even know if they have 100 CD wallets or something like that I could get. I mean, I have more than 100 Doctor Who DVDs. I'll say that much.
I
right
guarantee you can order that probably off Amazon for $10 or something.
Probably. Why haven't I done that? And then
It's a thing to pointlessly organize. Why haven't you done that?
I know. That's really.
They've got on Amazon. They've got stuff up to 400 discs.
That's ridiculous. I can't give 100. Wow.
I have an ottoman, and it has a
432.
bunch of books I haven't read and a bunch of DVDs that aren't in a case.
Man.
Sorry, and they're all Doctor Who.
Yeah, you get there's lots of options for 400 or more discs
Right.
for a binder, so you can do it.
I could do it, and then I just take out I'd save the covers and stuff, but those are easy. They're just paper,
But the
I don't know why I'm not doing this
plastic
yet.
cases, jewel cases, or keep cases, whatever.
Here's a
Wow.
question:
All
do
right.
you silk screen the appropriate logo for the era onto the said binder?
It's not a bad idea, actually. But
No, it's a terrible idea.
No,
Don't
it's
do
probably
it.
bad. Well, when I was
You could
making, go on, Chris, go on.
You could also get creative and put them in like alphabetical order in the binders, or
Possibilities are endless.
target book order.
That's the way I would do it. I would
binder.
I would do target release, which is basically alphabetical from like 1 to, because they renumbered them in like the early 80s, I think. Once about 70 of them came out, okay, let's put numbers to them, and they just did it
Also,
alphabetically.
Here's the other thing. Since you're insane, I'm just going to add to the insanity.
Okay.
Put get those little colored stickers for eras, little circle ones, and put what the production code is on that, so you never get the envelope wrong because the proper production code is on it.
Well, Warren, what I would just do is transfer those stickers from the current DVDs, which I put on there for Erica's benefit. And then, because then when we were doing, we finally did a Lazy Doctor Who this past weekend. It's first time in 11 months. I would say, what story's next? Oh, go pluck out serial code FF, and then you go over there and grab the Highlanders. And
so pretentious.
I know. But it works. It's
I
fun.
don't care. It's still pretentious. It's not fun either.
Oh, I like it. We were watching. What's that? What's that?
Get a little jiggy with it, and instead of FF, just put 2F.
No, it's not the proper production code, Chris. Come on.
What?
Not the no. Only
what
when
a
it gets
life
to
you
4. You know this. Only when it gets to 4 do you use the numeral 4 and then F, which is Terror of the
So
Zygons.
like I say, you can get creative. Planet of the Spiders is now 3Z.
I don't know. That's how you're feeling when you're watching it. Am I right? Production code jokes. I like Planet of the Spiders. Anyway, so to sum up, no, we don't have an announcement for the next collection Blu-ray. It'll probably happen Monday. Usually it's when Lee Binding's artwork leaks to the internet the day before. Is usually like the white smoke from the Vatican when we know that a new box set is about to come, and then obviously with our Pertwee one being pushed to July, along with everything happening in July apparently. So, which is a hot month for.
I'm just actually picturing the Vatican and like the council and all that, like picking the next DVD or next Blu-ray release, and actually doing, oh no, we don't want, it's too soon for season 4. Black smoke. Oh,
Yeah,
season 15 isn't quite ready. Black smoke.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's a waste of the Vatican's time, but I'm like, what are they doing with their time anyway?
Honestly,
really?
or other than covering up sex abuse scandals.
Other than that. So could you please focus on Doctor Who DVDs instead? That seems at least harmlessly pointless,
right?
I mean, evil.
If you're going to be like the smallest country on earth, because the Vatican City is a country, then at least do some good and help select Doctor Who Blu-ray releases. We're halfway there, kids. We're halfway to being done. The classic series collection, which is shocking to think about, given that
take their giant coffers and put that toward finding missing episodes.
Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, I'm sure that's one of the lesser pointless things they've chased after in the history of the Vatican. So.
Well, you know what? I think they can find it, because in that Doctor Who episode I don't like, Extremists, they get somebody from the Vatican to tell Doctor Who to go find a thing with monks or something like that, and so instead it's just the guy that says, tell you what, why don't you just pop down to some private film collections and see if you can rummage up some classic Doctor Who, which is potentially a segue into what
sorry, I just had a vision of the Monty Python sketch The Bishop, of him pushing people around and looking for lost episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, just to interrupt your segue with
fine.
Alternate segue of the same nature.
Right.
Apparently at Utopia yesterday, there was a missing episodes panel with Philip Morris, who says, not keep watching the skis, but, may as well have been.
Yeah, and then somebody tweeted, I don't know, there's an argument. Ian Levine was involved, so there's your long story short. But Paul Vanessis responded on Twitter to something about this. The original tweet was deleted, so I can't see what he was responding to. But he said that he mentioned the fact that he once said that on this podcast, I might say, that he is aware of 2 episodes that exist in a private collection's hands, and then the possibility of one other print is what he also said. So he reiterated that the one other print one is news. So technically there's definitely 2, at least possibly 3. maybe more. So Terry Burnett, who was the film collector who way back in 2011 handed back a couple of missing Doctor Who episodes that he didn't even know. It's like, oh, I didn't know you were missing a Doctor Who. Well, here's an episode of Galaxy 4, or was it Underwater Menace? I can't remember which one came first. And it's just, oh, wow, yeah, this is totally missing. Oh, it's missing. Well, look at this. I got another one. And anyway, he passed away in February, did Terry Burnett. But his film collection lives on. And a couple cats, Stephen Cranford and Richard Latto, have assumed the collection of film canisters that Terry Burnett had. The vast majority of them are unlabeled. So that's not to say that every single one is a missing Doctor Who episode. But the fact that he had 2 episodes of Doctor Who in his possession, he never watched the show. He didn't know that they were missing. He didn't know what the big deal was about them. There is a possibility of missing content in there. It's going to take a long time to go through them and stuff to see what they are, because they're old films and they have to sort of be, looked after and properly cared for and and analyze and stuff. I don't know who's going to be involved with it. So it's going to take some time, but there is hope, and that's really what Doctor Who missing episode fans are all about. Hope.
Or they could be just old episodes and camera negatives of Minder.
Maybe they're.
I'll be the first to put this out there.
All right.
37 copies of The Feast of Stephen.
Say 37 in a row film copies of it. That's it, just the one, and they're like
all of them slightly different.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Yeah, they took 37 takes of a lot. No, they didn't do that, but that would be fun. So anyway, that was kind of interesting and fascinating news. Stephen Cranford, links in the show notes, by the way, if you want to have a look at the photos that were taken there. The van full of film cans. You could just zoom in on all the different film can labels. But there's a lot of unlabeled stuff there. There's a lot of unlabeled stuff there. So. Yeah, thankfully, I was reading down through the comments and stuff, and Stephen Cranford was responding to some questions and stuff, and so, thankfully, no smell of vinegar. So it feels like the films are well taken care of, and they aren't rotting in their canisters. So
there's a really nice documentary about Terry Burnett on the Galaxy 4 release.
There he is. Yeah, that's right.
And it's well worth watching because it's a very interesting story.
Yeah. Have you watched it, Chris, given that that's on a Blu-ray? You have? Oh, you have.
Yeah, no, we went through, it's been a little while now since we went through Galaxy 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Galaxy or the story? Perhaps.
But both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time. So anyway, I'm eager to hear the results over the weeks and months to come about what their exploration of this film collection will turn out to be. Also, let's pour one out for Network Distributing. A lot of vintage and archive British TV and film fans were very shocked and sad to see that they went into receivership, I believe, at the end of May, and they just shut down. Their stores shut down. They Network put out a ton of like archive stuff that was never available anywhere else on DVD or Blu-ray over the years. I think I've picked up a couple even over the years too. Like I think the Robin of Sherwood box sets that I have are from Network, and I think they put out a Prisoner one. They made an actual documentary on the Prisoner called In My Mind, which I have as well. There was a massive Crossroads box set, like literally 97 discs of all of Crossroads came out. You when you think about that, maybe that's what made them go under, because I'm not sure anybody has wanted to buy 97 discs of a 1960s and 70s British soap opera. But yeah, sad, because that's, we often rail against how streaming services like Disney are writing down a whole bunch of content, and some archive stuff is so impossible to find that when you see it pop up on DVD and Blu-ray, it's like, oh my god, like wow, I could watch all of Crown Court if I wanted to, thanks to Network Distributing. And now they don't have that chance, so it's unfortunate. There's a huge archive there of stuff there that is no longer available. So sad news. Boo to all that. So anyway, hopefully, I mean, this is just another hope thing. Hopefully someone could sort of pick up the ball and run with it when it comes to the Network archive. But yeah, anyway, the Waris Hussein Diaries, part one came. That was a few months ago now in the Radio Times. They put part one of his diaries that he wrote during the making of Doctor Who, in leading up to the making of the actual show. And now they've put out part two on the Radio Times website, which covers the October and November and early December of 1963. And there's some interesting stuff in there where he talks about how he's really unhappy with it, about how he really liked Douglas Camfield, even though Camfield was, I think, slightly miffed that Hussein was getting the breaks that he wanted, because he really wanted to be a director. He became a director very shortly afterwards. But here's the interesting thing, and this affects everything that I have known and thought about Doctor Who when it comes to the broadcast of the very first episode, because he goes into great length on his entry on November 25th, when he's on a train to Moscow from Frankfurt, and he writes this huge thing. And he's talking about the massive event that was the JFK assassination a couple days prior to that. And here's what he said. He says, no one really knows what Lyndon Johnson will be like, blah, blah, blah. Doctor Who passed unnoticed. Here's the big thing. Presentation ran the tape too soon, so that at least 10 seconds were lost in the opening titles. So, I've been playing it, at 5, 10, and 20 seconds, or 5, 16, and 20 seconds, or 10, 16 in my time here, at the exact second of the anniversary. But really, I should have been playing it when I watched An Unearthly Child every November 23rd. I should be rolling it 10 seconds and then turning the TV on to really fully match up the official broadcast of it. I know.
I have a bigger question here.
Okay.
That we've just passed over. So 2 days after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Waris Hussein is on a train from Frankfurt to Moscow. Not an easy place to get into in 1963. Mm-hmm. And the question we have is about 10 seconds of Doctor Who footage? What's going on here, Comrade Hussein?
Yeah, where Waris Hussein spent, this is sort of an editor's note, Waris spent nearly 2 weeks in the USSR, including train journeys of 2 days and nights. While back in Britain, Doctor Who was gradually capturing it. What was Waris Hussein doing in Soviet Russia right around the same time that Soviet patsy Lee Harvey Oswald was being thrown under the bus for killing JFK?
We are indeed through the looking glass here, people.
We certainly are, Warren. I think that perhaps that second gunman theory, he wasn't actually on the grassy knoll. He was in London using early satellite technology to shoot a bullet off a satellite, off of someone in the grassy knoll, into the back of JFK's head.
There is a Target book, or not a Target book, but a book, Doctor Who book, with Who Killed Kennedy, right? So, I mean...
There is.
Which, and if anything is a document of history, it's a fictional book several decades after the fact.
That's true. Yeah.
Or a movie, in fact, several decades after the fact.
So there we go. So Waris Hussein, I think, has said a little more than he intended to say about his involvement in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, is what I mean to say. Anyway, the whole thing is very interesting reading in the Radio Times. Good for that. There's the third and final installment is promised later on, where there is a détente between Waris Hussein and Verity Lambert as Marco Polo goes into production. Interesting.
I thought you were going to say détente between Waris Hussein and Soviet Russia.
Soviet Russia, yes. He personally instigated the SALT talks of the early 70s. The
SALT 0.5, I believe it was.
I think it was, yeah. So yeah, I mentioned that the Blu-ray release of season 9 delayed here in North America 3 weeks which is unfortunate. Hopefully the same won't happen with the Series 5 soundtrack from Silver Screen Records, a 3-disc set, vinyl box set of the first series of Matt Smith's Doctor Who is coming to vinyl. Very exciting for vinyl collectors. There's the pretty discs and all that stuff, and it's been a while since they've put a Doctor Who soundtrack on vinyl, I want to say. I haven't been keeping track of these things, to be fair, but it seems like it's been some time, so it's kind of cool. Maybe setting up the inevitable release of Series 10, which Murray Gold has promised will happen now that he's back in the fold on Doctor Who. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see indeed. Some Chicago TARDIS news. We haven't talked about Chicago TARDIS much, but it's the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, and Chicago TARDIS is celebrating in kind They've got 3 Doctors Who coming: Colin Baker, Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, all going to be there in November. It's actually feasible to get flights to Chicago again from Edmonton, because they both Delta and United removed their connecting flights from Minneapolis, which made it almost impossible to get from Edmonton to Chicago, which is very strange. But so that's cool. Chicago TARDIS. And that's like anniversary weekend too, is Chicago TARDIS that weekend.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah. Maybe they'll show the 5 Doctors 2 days early. Maybe they'll show the Tennant episode 2 days early. They won't do that.
They will not.
It'll be on
possibly 5 Doctors 2 days early from
40
years ago.
They'll show it on the 20. Yeah, they'll show it the Thursday night, the 23rd. Just so there. So that's cool. Chicago TARDIS coming up, and of course Gallifreyan's coming up 3 months after that too. So that'll be a fun time as well. Hey, this is awesome news. Whenever Terry Nation Army puts out a new Daleks video, there is a massively detailed video about the 7 classic Daleks that appear in Asylum of the Daleks. Once again, this video has been in the works for months, trying to discover the path to all the classic series Daleks. There's only one original Dalek, for what it's worth, that is in there, and it's the Special Weapons Dalek. All the rest are very loyal fan recreations, but the video goes on to sort of say, here's what happened to all those fan recreations and how they were involved in it. So it's it's superb. They do such superb work on there.
That was the first time the Special Weapons Dalek showed up again, right? Because it did show up again after that, but
it did. It showed up in Which is Familiar
or whatever.
Yeah, which apparently also rankles Dalek experts. There's a teaser at the end of that. I hope that there's a video of that coming, because I want to see, because there's a ton of Daleks on that one. But
why is what's the rankling? Please explain.
I don't know. He just teases it. Here's something though. Here's something, Chris, that'll interest you. In that when they were comparing the script for Asylum of the Daleks to what eventually showed up on screen, it's quite evident in the script that focus is meant to be paid to individual styles of Daleks. So remember when they go, here's like the inner sanctum of like the true criminals of the Daleks, and they mentioned like, Spiridon and Exelon and all that. And apparently in the script, they were totally meant to be focusing on the actual Daleks that looked like that from those days. I remember back when we reviewed this like 11 years ago, Chris, you were saying, why isn't the Dalek from Exelon the one from, the silver and black one? It was intended to be. And in fact, in the actual episode, there is a silver and black Dalek that looks like it, but they covered it with so much mud, and it's in the background so much that you don't even notice it. Yeah.
So my question is, because I haven't watched this in years,
right?
Are they the ultra criminals of the Daleks because they're such incompetent buffoons that they couldn't get anything together at Spiridon and Exelon and so forth? Oh
yeah, they're kind of like the White House plumbers in a way, Like
exactly. They just kind of get these are our biggest screw ups. We just keep them over here.
The G. Gordon Liddy of Daleks is just sitting there.
Wow. Just this big bushy mustache and stupid bad right wing attitude on this Dalek, but it doesn't sound 100 miles off from what they are.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff, all learned in this video. So, it's really amazing stuff. Like, this is stuff that you just do not find on official releases at all. It's all through wonderfully made and wonderfully researched stuff like this. We're gonna have Gavin Bible on the show again at some point to maybe even next week to talk about this and another Asylum video I think that they're working on. So it's really fascinating stuff, really good stuff. I'm happy to spread the word about their videos whenever they pop out. And yes, Chris, validation. So really, we should be directing our ire at Nick Curran, who directed this, and one also did the Day of the Doctor as well. But clearly, he has no understanding of anything regarding Doctor Who.
How dare you give us a pretty decent episode and an amazing epoch-defining episode? How dare you, sir?
Yeah. But he messed up the Daleks. He messed them up.
Oh, just a criminal behavior on his part.
Yeah. It is fascinating, though, because, you think that, oh, wow, I can't believe Moffat messed this up. Well, listen, he wrote the script. He wrote the script for this. It was the first ever Dalek script that he had written, because it was Mark Gatiss before that. And he intended it to be the way, and he's the showrunner, and yet, by the end of production, it gets completely changed. So just...
And let's be honest here, nobody messed anything up. Just because a tiny sliver of nerd fans, which includes us, gets wound up about this, doesn't mean it actually matters. So...
Or does it, Warren?
No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't.
Okay. Well, you're probably right about that.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. A couple Big Finish notes. Big Finish, Once and Future, a Genius for War, which is the ongoing thing in the Once and Future 60-year celebration story, is a story written by Jonathan Morris, and it comes out July 2023, and it features Sylvester McCoy as Doctor Who and Davros. Played by Terry Malloy, and also Ken Bones makes his return there too. So that's all part of the 60th anniversary celebrations from a Big Finish. Here's another one coming from Big Finish. James Robert McCrimmon is in, so obviously Fraser Hines is involved in this. This is an interesting thing. This is also coming out in July, but it features Michael Troughton as the second Doctor, playing his father, Patrick Troughton. But it involves the second Doctor meeting up with old James Robert McCrimmon. This is an idea that Fraser Hines has been kicking around for quite some time, thinking that this is probably back when Elizabeth Sladen returned to Doctor Who, and all of a sudden all the old companions said, whoa, I can get Doctor Who too. Give me a job. And I think he was sort of thinking, what if the Doctor found Jamie years after the Time Lords had put him back on the planet and wiped his memories of the time of the Doctor? Well, that's now what's happening in this Big Finish series. So it's an intriguing premise.
I'm glad he's not doing both the voices, his own and because the second Doctor, because he did that in one audio, and although he does a very credible second Doctor, it's a good second Doctor, having him and Jamie and him switching between the two just have so much cognitive dissonance. I couldn't wrap my head around it. So having Michael Troughton do it instead works a lot better. Like I said, if anybody can do a good imitation of, other than Michael Troughton, of Patrick Troughton, it's Fraser Hines, but having both in the same thing and the same guy do both voices, it just doesn't work in audio form. Maybe in animated form it might, but not in audio form.
No.
Not for me anyway.
No, and it would be tough too, because this is like old Jamie. This isn't Fraser Hines today trying to sort of mimic him from the 1960s. This is old Fraser Hines. So you get old Fraser Hines as old Jamie, and then old Doctor Who. I wonder if they've been waiting on this idea until they finally got Michael Troughton to do the voice of
it wouldn't surprise me.
The second Doctor. So
and not like I said, not to slag off Fraser Hines. He does a credible job of the second Doctor.
Absolutely does. But anyway, that's coming. There's a 3-part story in all of that coming in July as well. So there you go, from Big Finish. And finally, before we dip into the Timelash today, the Target Book Club event is happening on July 16th at the Bush Hall, somewhere in England. London.
It's in London. It's in Shepherd's Bush. It's Bush Hall.
That's Bush Hall. This is this is sort of the properly official launch of the Target novelizations that are coming out on the 13th, I believe. Is that what this is, Chris? Do you think?
Yeah. I've already forgotten. I looked them up and I forgot which ones they are, but Warriors Gate, Planet of the Ood, Waters of Mars, Zygon Invasion, and Kerblam.
There you go. So that's the official launch of them all, and so no guest announced that yet, but that there's a possibility that perhaps the writers of those tales will be around, if some of them are around at all. I mean, I know Pete McTighe is, but Peter Harness lives in Sweden, so like he doesn't.
Pete McTighe lives in Australia, I think.
He went back to Australia for a bit, but then I don't know, I saw him that he was in the UK recently too. But maybe he's making those things. He's making a video for whatever the next the season box set releases. So now we got to watch Pete McTighe's feed to see when that's coming. But anyway, if you want to get tickets, it's an 18+ event. Obviously, this gets a little blue. This Target Book Club thing,
salty.
Yeah. But tickets are available on the website or in the show notes at radiofreeskaro.com. So there we go. let's wrap this up. This middling episode of this podcast where we just tell you about stuff and missing episode rumors. Feel free to spread those missing episode rumors if you want.
That never,
especially
that's
if
never
Steven
dangerous.
Never bad news at all. No, there's so many rumors. Let's step back in the Timelash because we're starting to it's probably the last month of the Timelash, kids. Just so you know. We're getting to the end of the Timelash because then we'll just start repeating ourselves until the return of the Timelash in 5 years' time when we forget what we said in the first round and then we'll just repeat it all again for all the people who are new to the podcast.
5 years. 5 weeks, maybe.
5 weeks.
5 days.
We'll have a slow news day in August. Well, time for the Timelash again. June 4th, we start our journey on June 4th. The birth of Peter R. Newman, June 4th, 1926. The mysterious writer of the Sensorites and the subject of the fascinating and wonderful documentary Looking for Peter that was on the Sensorites box set. So little was known about Peter R. Newman that Toby Haydock did some digging and found out the history of this writer who died at a very young age. After writing one story of Doctor Who back in the day.
I will never read Peter R. Newman and not think Peter C. Newman, the chronicler of the Canadian establishment from the 60s to about the 90s onwards, who I think might still be alive, but very old.
I think, is he? I know, he always wore that little sailor hat, right? That was his thing.
So, I mean, if you're a politics nerd of a certain age in Canada, which is a Venn diagram that's basically me, then you know who Peter C. Newman is.
Yep.
Peter C. Newman he's Austrian, but he's 94 years old.
Still kicking.
Yep.
Wrote a good biography of Mulrooney, as I recall.
Oh, really? Brian Mulrooney, our prime minister from during the Thatcher years, basically. He was our Thatcher. We had him. Very popular at first, then brought in the GST, and that's when his popularity completely tanked.
And a touch corrupt, so there's that.
Well, he is a conservative politician, Warren, so there is that. But,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I still see, like, whenever they had like Ronald Reagan and he singing like Irish Eyes or something on stage. I think Thatcher was involved in it too. Oh, the gloriously corrupt 80s, folks. Boy, oh boy, CDs and the 1980s corrupt politicians. This is what this episode's all about here.
The 1980s were a very dumb time. People who were, like, I've got friends who were born in 1990, and they're like, what was it like? I'm like, mostly stupid, honestly.
Yeah, to be fair.
Kind of like now, really, just differently stupid.
Yeah, we look back on it, let's just pluck out the stuff we like, but yeah.
With terrible hair and fashion.
Yeah, good movies, especially sci-fi ones. That's about it.
That's true. Yeah, I could go on a Talking Heads rant, but I don't want to.
Yeah. Oh, no, there's some decent. In fact, let me go on a rant.
All right.
In 1981, Laurie Anderson's "Oh Superman," which is essentially an art project, somehow got on the charts in Europe, and that song kicks ass. I just found it the other day, and I'm like, "Damn, this song is cool." How the hell did this get on top 40 anywhere?
I don't know of it. I think I've heard of it, but I've never.
It's just her in a robot voice singing about Superman. It definitely is something that stemmed out of late 70s, early 80s art scene New York that somehow became popular. Like a lot of stuff that came out of art scene New York. Just a weird time where the early 80s were like, hey, New York's been doing crazy crap and they're all on drugs. Let's show this off.
Damn. See, I like 1980 strictly like Brian Eno producing era of Talking Heads. And the audio and the concert movies from 1980 tour for Talking Heads is great, is superb.
Oh yeah,
but the movie that everyone talks about is Stop Making Sense, which is from their 1983 tour, I think. And it's all like synthesizers, and it's like it's gone a little too much 80s for my like. So like it's a much better film, but the music itself is of lesser quality, and it just gets worse, obviously, as you get further on into the 1980s. But
they had great, and also to give the 80s its due, there were some phenomenal music videos from the 80s because they were basically given, and some real terrible ones too.
Oh,
but, I mean,
yeah.
Sledgehammer is great, Road to Nowhere is great. There are a ton of great videos that come out.
Take on Me, still lauded to this day.
Amazing, like still fantastic, like. Just because people they could do whatever they wanted, so they did. They made a lot of cool stuff.
I did. Indeed, all on 16mm film for the most part.
Yep.
So they did use the 35mm stuff, but anyway, back to Doctor Who in the 1980s on June 4th. What a day on June 4th, 1982. Both Nicholas Courtney is contracted for Mawdryn Undead, and Peter Grimwade is commissioned to write. We just recorded our commentary for Mawdryn Undead. It's already available for Patreon supporters. It'll be coming out sometime later this year on the main feed. But so yeah, Mawdryn Undead is very top of mind right now for that reason. Also, I should say I'm halfway through the Christopher Eccleston era of my pilgrimage, which feels very strange. I just watched, as we record this on Saturday, I just watched The Long Game. So tonight's Father's Day. So I almost hit the actual anniversary of the broadcast, the original broadcast of Boomtown on June 4th, 2005, featuring...
You almost hit Father's Day, too.
I know, just right in the middle there, yeah. So, Boomtown. Which, you know what? Watching the Slovene episodes again? Yeah.
They're not good.
No, not
Except
good.
Boomtown.
They're not as bad. They're not as bad, the Slovene ones, but it's so weird. The join between here are the really fluid-looking CG Slovene, and then here's the very static costumes of them. I
can almost guarantee they're back in some form or fashion at the new RTD era. I just feel like he loves them and nobody else does.
I don't know. He didn't really even use them again after. I mean, he used them in Sarah Jane Adventures, but
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think you're wrong. I think you're worried that literally everything is coming back. But. Also, that same day, 6 years after that, debut broadcast of A Good Man Goes to War, where we find out that River Song is the daughter of Amy and Rory.
Mm-hmm. Bum, bum, bum. I don't know what to think of that episode, because it's got some good stuff, but it's also got some what the hell is going on here stuff.
Yeah. A lot of throw the stuff against the wall Moffat things that sort of was happening in Series 6, yeah.
Guest starring Lorna Bucket, who's now on Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
That's right, she is, isn't she?
Who is she in Strange New Worlds?
She is the one who has the horrific background. I watched one episode of Strange New Worlds, and everyone else is all light and fun, but then she just says, my entire family was murdered in a terrorist war camp or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I call her Captain Bringdown, but... she just brings every scene down, just like, oh, God. All right, let's hear how bad your life is now. All right. Can we go see some planets now? No, I have to tell them how awful my life is. But anyway, she probably dies sometime between now and the time that Captain Kirk takes over. But
this is your death canon?
Yeah, everyone goes somewhere, but they just get moved somewhere. I don't know. But
well, Pike, we know, gets fried to a crisp and goes into a wheelchair. So,
or does he?
Yeah, he does. No. If they want to hew to TOS, and they do.
Do they, though? Do they,
Of course
Warren?
they do.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely they do. It's Star Trek nerds. They have to.
Will they change it,
to.
though? Like, is now Vulcan's blown up or something, and Kelvin's something?
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that. But, like, Star Wars is the one that rewrites everything, and that's fine. And Star Trek is the one that hews to everything and goes out of its way to bend over backwards and cause itself a spinal injury doing it to make everything fit.
That's true.
Before we move on to June 5th, did we talk about 1968?
You betcha, because this sounds familiar, and this is probably why we probably didn't we're wrapping this up. But yeah, please, Chris, inform the public what happened on June 4th, 1968.
Dick Sharple's commission to write The Prison in Space, which was let's say not the most progressive of stories.
Oh, yes, I remember this now, yeah.
Put it mildly.
Yeah.
Even
Doctor Who takes on women's lib, basically. And
oh, great.
Basically,
sure that worked out great.
Yeah, it's like basically a Doctor Who on the buses crossover, I think is probably what it was intended to be. Yeah, not good. Big Finish, of course, turned it into a thing, but...
Because I'm a 5-year-old, I can never not read Dick Sharples and giggle.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I can't.
That should have been your first warning right there.
I know.
We're really going to accept a script from Dick Sharples, and it's a prison planet run by women?
Who is this really?
Right?
Who's
who
fooling
is
with us here?
Who is Dick Sharples? I mean, if you look at it, Dick Sharples, Derek Sherwin. There's your rumor right there. Derek Sherwin
it's the name of which escapes me, the Abominable Snowman non-writer.
You mean
Harold Pinter? Harold Pinter did this as a lark.
There you go. Pinter, who's not in the Abominable Snowman.
Of course he isn't. I know.
But yeah.
G.G. Ballard is Dick Sharples.
Yeah.
Simon Guerrier did the Big Finish adaptation of it, apparently. So
did he really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Should have talked to him about
that. Next time.
Next time he's on, we'll talk about his
full
book.
Feature on
David Whittaker. Yeah. June 5th is a big... this is why this all sounds familiar, because a whole bunch of people were born and or died. Bill Sellers, Andy Goddard, who directed Doctor Who, Gareth Roberts, who wrote for Doctor Who, Caroline John sadly died back in 2012. All on June the 5th. Anything else?
Gareth Roberts isn't dead. He's just his career is dead.
That's true. Anything else jumping out at you?
There's another
June 5th?
Another birthday you're supposed to mention for June 5th, wasn't there?
There sure is. Back on June 5th, 1973, one Graham Kibblewhite was born. Graham Kibblewhite.
Oh, nice.
Friend of the show. Designed our logo for us. Always been a keen contributor to the show. Happy birthday, Graham. 1950. What happened on your day? Nothing happened. Nothing else happened on your day. But on your first birthday, you didn't know this at the time, but John Lucarotti was commissioned to write the first episode of The Ark in Space. It changed a wee bit by the time it came to being made on screen.
Just ever so slightly.
Tiny bit. Just the first episode he was commissioned to write. Let's see what you do here. All right. Well, we got to completely change it, but
speaking of things that completely changed as well, 1990.
Yep.
Now exactly. Working under Steven Spielberg at Amblin Entertainment, Philip David Siegel restarts negotiations for a Doctor Who co-production deal.
Wow. How about
6 years before it actually hits the air.
Amazing.
Lunacy.
Happy 17th birthday, Graham. That happened. You didn't know that at the time either. You probably weren't. maybe your imagination pinged. Something's happening. Something's happening right now.
And once again, I have to pimp Spruverse, which is Philip Siegel's retirement model making Instagram. It's great. He just sits around and makes models. It's awesome.
So good. I love
and he's very good at it.
Yeah. I here for TV executives for retiring. You know what I mean? Like good on you.
Instead of coming back like Bob Iger and making everybody's like and losing $500 million or $1.5 billion.
Right.
Just make some models in your garage after you've got all your reality show winnings. Why the hell not?
Exactly. Vincent and the Doctor broadcast 2010. It's the only episode that actually aired on June the 5th that Graham Kibblewhite was alive. So that was your birthday present. A sad, moving look at depression and stuff, which I've come to appreciate more as the years have gone on.
As have I. Yeah. As I've watched it more, I'm like, okay, I like this more. I don't love it to the way some people do, but I do quite like it.
Yeah, I do too. So there you go. Happy birthday, Graham. Thanks again for all that you do. June 6th. I remember June 6th because that was, I think we talked about this last week, didn't we? About the first broadcast of, was it June 6th that or no, that was intended, June 6th, 666 for the Impossible Planet, because it's 666, you see, the devil incarnate and all that. Anyway. June 6th. What else happened on June 6th? Anything you want to talk about that happened on June the 6th?
1974, John Lucarotti commissioned to write the final 3 episodes of The Ark in Space. Yeah. Because the first one didn't go badly enough.
I guess.
Nope.
I guess they were impressed by it, thinking, wow, this is all right. We won't have to completely rewrite this from page 1 at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which they did. Busy day, actually, because the previous day, Bob Baker and Dave Martin were commissioned to write Sontaran Experiment. And then today, June 6, 74, Jerry Davis commissioned to write Revenge of the Cybermen. Another one which is completely rewritten by Robert Holmes. So welcome to the script writing gig, Robert Holmes. You're going to have to rewrite absolutely everything that comes in for your season.
Well, you may as well throw 1975 in the pool, too.
Yep.
Terrence Dix commissioned to write The Brain of Morbius. That gets more or less completely written by.
Damn,
by
Terrence Dix
Holmes.
getting rewritten. That's
right. They're booing Shakespeare. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
1984, and just because of a personal anecdote, Anthony Alias contracted for Mark of the Rani. I remember as a teenager being relieved, going, "Oh, he's back. He didn't actually die in Planet of Fire."
Oh wow, you were actually like, for some reason maybe I knew that he was coming.
No, I didn't. I don't think I knew. Maybe I might be reconstructing memories here, but I think I didn't know, and I was relieved to find out he was back, and the Ronnie, whoever the hell that is.
Yeah. I think I probably just assumed he was coming back, just because why wouldn't he? He was torn to shreds at the end of Castor Valley. Yeah. He's back. He's doing something.
I haven't watched Mark and the Ronnie in a long time.
It's really good. It's my favorite Colin Baker story.
I think I might have to watch it again. I love the book.
I don't know what it's about, or like what brought it on, but there's a Instagram reel going around with Michelle Gomez and Sacha Dhawan just arm in arm walking down a set of steps.
Oh, really?
I can tell you what's going on. They're both very hot people. That's why that's going around.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Yeah. I wonder where that was taken. I wonder where and when that was. I haven't seen this reel of what you're talking about, but
it's exactly what Chris just described. It's them in slow mo going down steps. She's wearing trainers and a leather jacket, and I approve of this look.
Oh, Michelle Gomez can pull off any look, though, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also want to go back to the stuff in 74, which all this is happening while Robot is being recorded, by the way, which is fascinating. In at BBC Television Centre, but the reason that Genesis of the Daleks is so amazing is that it is written by Terry Nation. Everyone just assumes that because it's good, and the other ones maybe not so much, that he wrote in the 1970s, is that, obviously Robert Holmes completely rewrote it. No, Robert Holmes was already rewriting Ark in Space and Revenge of the Cybermen. He had no time to rewrite Genesis of the Daleks.
Several ashtrays deep, I'm sure, at this point.
It was all like, Terry Nation here, try, actually give a damn, and try. And he did, and Genesis of the Daleks is superb, and it's pretty much all Terry Nation. It's not all Robert. Maybe Rod Holmes put a couple little things in there, but the vast majority of that is Terry Nation, which is something to ponder. On to June 7th. Recording for the Dominators takes place in BBC TV Centre Studio 3 in White City. Just want to mention that Dominators was being made at some point, which is great.
I love how you go to bat for Dominators, somehow.
I don't know why. Don't know why that is, Warren. We always sort of, stick up for the underdog, I guess?
Invisible enemy. That's my go-to bad but good. So fair enough.
Yeah, Chris's Underworld. There's probably a lot of other ones there. Time Flight? No, we hate Time Flight. What other ones do we like that we probably shouldn't worry about? I don't remember.
Horns of Nimon.
Horns of Nimon, that's right. Horns of Nimon is good.
Others, Attack of the Cybermen.
Yep, that's one we stick up for some reason.
Yep. Youthful nostalgia more than anything else, really.
Yeah. Creature from the Pit? I think we're down on. I think we're not.
No, I'm not a fan.
No,
not so much.
Nightmare of Eden. Nightmare of Eden.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of it.
Oh, well. You're outvoted though, Warren. So technically, this podcast does adore Nightmare of Eden. So sorry.
Sure. If I cared, I might care, but I don't.
Yeah.
So.
If you cared, you might care.
Exactly.
Truer words never spoken.
Yeah. I don't care enough to even put it into something coherent.
1969, June 7th is the broadcast of episode 8 of the War Games, which is notable because it received, I think it might have a record low, 3.5 million viewers back in those days. Man, did people often say, "Oh, Doctor Who was canceled in the 80s because of ratings." Listen, the War Games, I'm just looking at the stats. Sorry, Warren, it's stats.
That's all right, whatever.
The highest rating an episode of the War Games ever got was 6.3 million, which is episode 2. All the rest were in between 5 and 3.5, which is episode 8.
Yeah.
The Troughton era really petered out, ratings-wise. Really petered out. It's
well, that was why they revamped everything with Pertwee, right? So.
Yeah, they thought, okay, we'll get, you know what, we can't think of anything else, so we're going to make one more season, and then while we think of something, actually, this is much better, and it's doing much better in the ratings. So Patrick Troughton nearly killed Doctor Who. Thank you very much. He didn't, but it was.
It was too woke. That was the problem.
It was way too woke. Yeah, people caught wind of this all women episode called "The Prison in Space." They thought, "Oh, is this coming down the pipes? We got to cancel the show."
Luckily, an angry letter writing campaign saved the day, as we see today with angry, review bombing and so forth.
Right,
online petitions.
Or online petitions. Or, as happened in June 7th, 1980, press reports emerged that K9 is about to be dropped from Doctor Who, prompting a Save K9 letter-writing campaign.
What I love about this is that, in my head, the response is, "Oh, all right, we're going to make K9 Company to really stick it to you. How about that?"
And they did. That was why K9 was so popular. They said, "Well, we'll make a spin-off and see how he does." And it did well. But the guy at the head of the BBC says, "I don't like K9. I'm the one who killed him in the first place." No, you're not getting your spin-off.
It ain't great. Although it isn't that bad, really. It
isn't that bad. There. It's a weird first episode. Can we say that? Yeah. If you're going to launch a show, doing a weird witch cult thing is where literally every single person is involved in the cult.
Also, it's kind of just a standard Doctor Who story with Sarah Jane in it, but that opening is so terrible that for the next 10 minutes, every time you watch it, you're just like, the stink of this is just not coming off, is it?
Oh, listen, going back to the things that we stick up for that we probably shouldn't, I love that theme. I love the theme
so
song.
bad. Like, I understand the love of the badness of it, but yeah, it is pretty terrible.
Parts of it is silly. The music is cool, but then for some reason, K9, it just feels kind of strange.
But the actual story itself is just it's basically just another Doctor Who episode, really.
Yeah. So actually, it's more like a Midsummer Murders episode, to be fair.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Maybe
it's just the fact that it's on tape makes me sort of go into my Doctor Who head.
Although the sight of K9 walking in and just blasting down all these cult members with a stun ray, allegedly. Although we don't see them after
Waco
that.
all over again.
I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit Doctor Who does Waco, Texas. Wow.
Or those are the ones that all commit suicide. Just to get really dark. What the hell are their names? The
talking about the Jonestown here, like the
no, the ones that they included footage in Contact, and it was kind of controversial.
Oh, is that the Heaven's Gate people?
That was who they were. Heaven's Gate, yeah.
Not the movie. Heaven's Gate, of course, but it's a different thing altogether. Chris, your favorite episode of all time, Forest of the Dead, originally broadcast June 7th, 2008. Why did that one fall so far from the mark for you?
I don't remember anymore. It just did. I mean, the part of it was the ending. The books thing was just so obvious, and it just took away from the enjoyment.
To defend Chris, sometimes stuff just doesn't hit. I've had that happen. I'm sure you have too, Stephen. Stuff doesn't hit you right, and you're like, "Why does everybody love this so much?" I don't get it, but whatever.
I know.
Like Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Oddly enough, a couple of some of the Stephen Moffat scripts are kind of like that for me. Like Girl
in the Fireplace, right?
Girl in the Fireplace. Even the one that I'm about to watch in a couple of days, Empty Child, Dr. Dances, is like, it's good, but it's not like as good as everyone says.
I'm with you on that.
No, it is that good.
Oh, it is that good. Okay.
Well, it's like we said, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Just like Vincent the Doctor, utter trash.
I wouldn't go that far. So. It's not utter trash, but
yeah.
But Unicorn and the Wasp, perfect example. Like it just did not hit the first time I saw it, and probably because it was surrounded by a bunch of other stuff. And watched it a little later, I'm like, it isn't perfect, but it's a lot more fun than I remember it being.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, or 42.
42?
Yeah, 42 is a great example, yeah.
Yeah. Just think there, folks. Whatever Doctor Who story you love, somebody else hates.
Mm-hmm. The story of fandom.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean,
that's true.
Every story is somebody's first story. Every story is somebody's favorite story.
Every story is somebody's last story.
I'm known amongst some friends as the Vancouver's preeminent prequel defender, and I will defend parts of the prequels.
I know you made a very crude sign that you hang off your balcony that says the very thing more, and I've seen it. But yeah,
it's in crayon and spelled improperly.
Yeah, you spelled prequel wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're talking about the Lord of the Rings prequels, the Hobbit films, right?
Yes,
no,
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Although somebody did combine all three of them into a more book-hewing 3-hour movie, and it's actually pretty damn good.
I've got that somewhere on a hard drive. I should watch that. I've never watched it.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah. Conversely, though, I also have the extended editions on Blu-ray, so I don't know what's wrong with me, but I've never watched them. I've never watched the extended editions. I should do that.
And I made a point of buying the 4K theatrical editions of the Lord of the Rings, because I don't generally like, with very few exceptions, the extended editions. I don't need that extra stuff. Throw it in the VAM. I don't need it in the movie. It just doesn't add anything for me most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm so used to the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings now. It'd feel weird for me.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Especially Two Towers. I watched that one ad nauseum back.
That one,
version? Yeah,
I think is better in the extended version because you get more Boromir and Faramir stuff that you wouldn't get otherwise. That really does add to it.
It does.
But the first one, what really put me off it is I think the way they cut around a bunch of stuff, practical necessity with, where Gandalf gets to the Shire. I love the way that's all cut together. I think it just works. It pace is great. And then when you get the extended edition, it goes on for like 5 extra minutes. I'm like, I don't want all this extra stuff. Get back to the thing I loved. I fell in love with in the theater, instantly.
Right. But Warren, you got to find out, how does Darth Vader get back to his Superstar Destroyer? How does he do it?
It makes me so angry.
How does he do it? How does he get there?
Still.
He's suddenly there.
It's what? It's almost 30 years since I saw it at the theater, and the fury has not since dipped with the long series of instructions on how to get to from his shuttle to this. Oh, God, it's on!
It's almost like John Williams is protesting about it, because the music is for it is just sort of... this is boring.
That did not need to be. That is the McClunky of its time.
Yeah,
my God. Although McClunky I find kind of funny, but
Yeah, we should have known then. We should have known then that, oh no, this isn't going to go well, is it?
This is why I laugh when people get mad about scooter gangs and Book of Boba Fett. I'm like, look, the man himself has done this numerous times over, so big deal.
That is true. Let's move on. June 8th. Happy 80th birthday, Colin Baker, the sixth Doctor Who.
Nice.
Turning 80. Yep. Happy birthday to Colin Baker. Also the birthday of Peter Grimwade, born that day in 1942. One of the people to write and direct for Doctor Who.
I like how they list all three of his credits, too. He's also a production assistant.
Yeah, he's very famous. That's why he was... Grimwade syndrome was an in-joke on Robots of Death, because he was a PA on that one. So, yeah. And, of course, died too young in 1990 of leukemia. So
that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I was going to throw 1968 out there, a rebroadcast of The Evil of the Daleks. Episode 1 heralds the first ever repeat of a complete Doctor Who story. And isn't that the basis for the Fraser Hines novelization?
That's true, yes. As we determined.
As we talked about.
Last week, the novelization coming up from Fraser Hines about The Evil of the Daleks is not his telling of The Evil of the Daleks, it's him watching, Zoe watching it for the first time. And then that's the novelization of it. So that happened June 8th, 1968. Which is 4 days after RFK's assassination, just to put that
Where
in
was Waris Hussein, I ask you? Where
was Waris Hussein in 1968 in L.A., in the Ambassador Hotel?
And then 1974 debut broadcast of Planet of the Spiders, episode 6 on BBC One, so thus ends the Pertwee era.
That's right. Happy birthday, Colin Baker. I wonder if young Colin Baker, who was, 31 at the time, was watching that, if he was watching it at all, and says, wow... I sure would like to have a regeneration scene, and then he never did.
I'd like to call out 1976 because on the list itself it says recording for, and that's just blank, but it's clearly Mask of Mandragora because of the picture next to it. So my theory is that the Mask of Mandragora ate this entry.
Oh, that's totally that's true. Just says boom, it's done.
Yep,
I believe it. I believe it. Big day, June 8th. Colin Baker and Third Doctor era ending. How about that? Let's move on. June 9th. As you can see, the days are getting a little thinner here, kids. This is why we're wrapping up the Timelash. Blink. Have to throw that out there. June 9th, 2007. Debut broadcast of Blink on BBC One. We're talking about being underwhelmed by some Stephen Moffat stories. Not this one. Blink is amazing. Still is.
Also, the iconic... clearly still the best new series monsters.
Right?
The Weeping Angels.
God. It is a genius idea, really, when you think about it. It's just something that's still. The stillness is the scariness about it. It's not that they're walking toward you. The fact that they are still is the thing that scares you, because you know they're going to move. Golly. Brilliant writer, that's Stephen Moffat.
He's done a thing or two in his time, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Coupling, and then Press Gang before that, and I don't know what else. Sherlock, he did Sherlock too, that's right. Dracula did a Dracula thing, wrote a play, I think.
Tintin?
Did a Tintin movie.
Yeah, he did write Tintin.
Yeah, he did, wrote the first one, then I gotta leave, I can't do the rest of them because I gotta do Doctor Who now. That's okay, because Tintin carried on. Never did. They never made any more. No more Tintin
Good movie,
movies,
actually. Quite a decent movie.
I remember watching it and thinking that wasn't too bad. And I'm a and this will sound funny. I'm a Tintin stickler. I don't know how to take that phrase, but I'm a stickler for details when it comes to Tintin.
Where's the racism in Tintin?
Right, I just feel like
he's not racist.
Tintin stickler. Yeah, right. Why aren't they adapting the original 1930 version, which is very racist?
Two things about Tintin. If you go to Stockholm, there's Tintin stuff everywhere. It's great. It's just because it's
Stockholm.
I mean, Belgium's close by, right? So there's a whole story about Tintin. You go to a comic shop. By the way, one of the best comic shops I've ever been to in my life is in Old Town in Stockholm. There's Tintin stuff everywhere. The other thing I love about the movie is that I remember watching it going, why'd they just do live action? This is all just aping live action. Oh, Because then Stuber goes, you want to see what I can do with a computer camera? Well, let me show you, buddy.
Oh, boy.
And he does. And he doesn't. It's because of Spielberg. He knows what the hell he's doing with it, as opposed to he would just throw the camera willy-nilly. So,
well, then he made Ready Player One. So,
yeah. So watch Tintin instead. Because if you want to see CG prowess, that is the one to see.
The Nelvana cartoon of Tintin in the late 80s.
It was good.
That hued remarkably. Like, the artwork was perfect. It was like you were watching the original books coming to life.
What was the other one they did? Mortimer and somebody. Similar kind of style.
Oh, I don't remember that one, but I do remember Tintin.
This is very, very, very deep dive, but I was watching the Nebulas, and there's like a chat room, and somebody who lives in Vancouver was the writer of Cyber 6, so I ended up shooting the breeze with her and telling her I was the only person who liked Cyber 6 in all of Teletoon, but it was great, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
And then she called security.
Nope. No, she did not. She was happy to have me praise Cyber 6, which was good. Look it up, people.
Cyber 6. I remember that being a thing that was listed on the labels of tapes in the library, but I don't think it ever aired when I was working there, Warren. So
yeah, I think that was my era in the 90s, but it was good. It's good stuff. Check it out. It's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Probably. Let's wrap up the Timelash for this week on a very busy day, June 10th. Jeffrey Orm, the writer of everyone's favorite story, The Underwater Menace, was born in 1904. So he was an old white guy writer at the time. Even he's in his 60s when he wrote that.
Let's make this more colonial.
Yeah. It's also the birthday of Lee Haven Jones in 1976. David Brierley died in 2008. But anyway,
Lee Haven Jones sounds like a great 1970s musician.
Or 1980s, like something like Lee Haven Jones, later Grace Jones, or something like that. Like that's so. If there's something involved in that. What else happened? A lot of stuff happened here, so feel free to jump in at any point. But I'll start with this. 1977 press reports emerged that K9 will be a new regular Doctor Who character. June 10th, so we're mere days after Star Wars has become a thing. But before it ever showed up in the UK, it only premiered in the UK in December of that year. So K9, not an R2D2 ripoff, but you might think that if you were looking at things like that. Anyway, K9, you wanted to say something, Warren?
Oh, no, I was going to pick that one, but I will jump to 1993. The Dark Dimension is announced as a production by BBC Enterprises, because I always forget until I see the words The Dark Dimension that this ever existed in any way, shape, or form.
Right? Because I bought the Doctor Who magazines at the time, and I want to say I think I was more or less current with them at the time too, like buying them new when they came out, not just buying back issues. And I remember it says, "Oh wow, Doctor Who." I think I bought that and the one that came after at the same time. So it says Dark Dimension mentioned, and then literally I think it's like on the spine or something, like in the inset of a page. It was literally going to press. Like, we have to put this in there. Dark Dimension canceled by BBC or something like that. Like, wow. It didn't even last an issue of Doctor Who magazine.
What was it about? I keep forgetting. Like, people tell me and I just bloops out of my mind.
It was, I don't know, some weird thing mostly featuring Tom Baker, and then the other doctors in there as well. And the other doctors were kind of upset about it. Graham Harper was hired to start working on it. He was paid to do some pre-production work. But then, and I know this more recently because I watched the superb Ed Stradling documentary, 7 Years Hitch. But once the BBC proper, not BBC Enterprise, BBC found out about this, they were still in the midst, of course, of getting the new series off with like Amblin Entertainment at the time and Philip Siegel. And so they were actively trying to kill it because this looks amateurish. It's just going to go straight to video. This is going to diminish the brand, so to speak. And so, yeah, it's the BBC that basically killed it off. So Enterprises wanted to do it to sell VHS copies, and BBC wanted to kill it because it was going to harm any future Doctor Who being made in an American co-production. So there you go. That's what happened to Dark Dimension. I'm sure Big Finish has done a thing. I'm sure they've done a thing. I'm not even going to bother looking it up, but I'm sure they have done a thing with regards to that. Probably.
Yeah, I'm skimming the blurb, and I don't see Big Finish mentioned.
Why haven't they done it yet? It's got to be legal rights or something like that. It's right up there. Should have done it. That should be the 60th.
Or it just didn't get mentioned, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Chris, you got anything? I got one, but I want to steal it from you.
No, I'm assuming you're going to go 2006, so go for it.
No, I'm going to go 1982.
What happened in 82, Warren?
Andrew Stephenson is commissioned to provide a storyline for The House That Jack built and Colin Davis for The Place Where All Towns Meet. What in the hell are these?
Wow. Well, they didn't go far, Warren. I'll tell you that much right now. They did not go far at all. Storyline is commissioned, but that was it. Yeah, somewhere in season 21.
And they're both, Fifth Doctor era. Yep. Nope. Nothing for information whatsoever.
No,
just titles, and that's all she wrote, baby.
Yeah, gives you perspective though, doesn't it? Where they pick 6 or 7 stories to make, and there are so many other ideas that come in that are completely don't get anywhere close to being made. So it's like roulette in a way. June 10th, 1983, 2 days after his 40th birthday, Colin Baker offered the role of the Sixth Doctor. Congratulations, Colin Baker.
I find it hard to wrap my head around the fact that he's 40 when that happens. Like, he doesn't look 40 at the time, honestly.
No, 40 is different in our world, isn't it? Especially when we were kids. Because you look at him, you go, well, what is 40? Those would be 80 for all we know, really. No.
Yeah. Now, not so much. But
well, I mean, Warren, you're approaching the age that Hartnell was when he took on the role. So
thanks. That's great.
So,
I mean,
think of how you perceive things at this age now, and how you perceive Hartnell when you watch him.
I perceive, not Hartnell, but most things at this age with disgust and disdain. So
you're perfect. You're right there. You're right on. You are on track.
How tetchy and crotchety, as the celebration would say.
To be fair, Warren, I think you've been this way since you were at least 35.
I've been this way since I was 12, and I've gotten better, I think, as time's gone on.
A little bit.
And so has Chris. Honestly, to be fair, Chris has as well. So
that's true.
You are the same insanely enthused person you always were.
Am I? Am I really?
Well, you hate Marvel, so there's not that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you've gotten worse over the years, Stephen.
Yeah,
that's true. You are the cranky one now.
Worse is the wrong word. I think you've taken the blinders off a little bit.
Fine-tuned. How about that?
A little bit. Maybe because I'm more interested in the behind-the-scenes stuff now that I sort of notice things more. I don't know.
And to be fair, behind-the-scenes stuff is generally boring now because it's just a bunch of people in front of a green screen, so that gets pretty dull after a while.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Prove me wrong, makers of Doctor Who VAM. Whenever it comes time to make the collection sets for the modern series, I'm okay with seeing all the back and forth about how they make Doctor Who now. It's not nearly as exciting as show me some raw studio footage. Show me 6 hours of raw footage of making Doctor Who today, and then I'll see how I feel about it, and comparing it to 6 hours from 1982 or something like that.
But speaking of behind the scenes, I have just ordered Mo Ryan's book Burn It Down about just how toxic writers' rooms are and other places in Hollywood, and I will give a full report once I've read it. It won't arrive until I'm next week, and then I won't get a chance to read it until the week after that. Right. But I will give you a full report on all the devilry of Hollywood once I've read it.
Please do. The music is looped around in the background. Anybody else got anything to say about June 10th, or we should wrap this up?
2017, Empress of Mars, and that went out.
Empress of Mars.
It's interesting. We got a Lady Ice Warrior for the first time.
Yep. Wayne Yip directed that.
I still love the effects of the crumpling of the soldiers when they get shot.
Weird bouncing ball things. Yeah, that was very strange. Very strange indeed. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting one. Mark Gatiss' last written contribution to Doctor Who is what that was.
So far.
Think he's coming back? I don't know.
How did him and RT get along?
I actually don't know. How he and...
I know him and Moffat are tight, but I don't know about him and RTD.
Yeah. I mean, Gatiss obviously wrote...
I'm assuming well enough, given he, starred in and wrote in the first RTD era.
Yeah.
That's true. Not as often as he did in the Moffat era, though.
No, and even in Sherlock, too, where he's... What's his name?
I'm losing count. How
Mycroft.
Yeah, I know. I know he had a story for season 4 or 3 that was dropped because it was too expensive or something like that. I can't remember now. I'm forgetting the details, but I think he only wrote two stories for the RTD era. Of course,
it also depends. It also depends on how deep into classic lore RTD wants to get, because Gatiss or Gaddis, or however the hell you say his name.
No, it's Gatiss. You were right the first time. Don't say
okay for once.
Yeah.
We'll definitely deep dive, if at all possible, into classic stuff.
That's true. That's true.
And I'm not criticizing. I love that stuff because I'm old, but
and
I can see why RTD would not want to do that. So.
Yeah. We'll see. But
what did you write here? Unquiet Dead, Idiot's Lantern.
And that's it, right?
Victory, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, then Victory of the Daleks and so on, and Moffat's era.
I keep thinking he wrote Cold War, but he didn't.
No, he did write Cold War. Did he? Okay, I never mind that. All right.
Yep.
But that's Moffat, yeah. Did a lot for Moffat, but then again, the Moffat era lasted longer, just like this episode and indeed this edition of the Timelash has. So let's wrap up both. How about and get on with the rest of our lives. Next week, more of the same. Random stuff from around the world on the Doctor Who universe. Maybe we'll have a missing episodes thing to talk about. Maybe we'll have some other thing to talk. Maybe we'll have a release date for the next Doctor Who collection Blu-ray set. Who can tell? You will only find out this information only in one location, and that's this podcast. Nowhere else on the internet will you find out this sort of information.
Not at all.
So don't go anywhere else. Just stick with us, folks. We'll be there for you. Until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.